Welcome you all to the part 3 video of Module 6 Municipal Solid Waste Management. In the previous video, we have discussed about the different types of composting. Now, the two methods of composting which is coming under your syllabus is the Bangalore method and Indore method. So the first method, that is the Bangalore method. It is an anaerobic method of composting. This method is first introduced by L.N. Acharya at the IISc Bangalore, and hence this method is called as the Bangalore method. This method overcomes many disadvantages of Indore method. This is an anaerobic method, that is, it takes place in the absence of oxygen. This method eliminates the necessity of turning up of materials as composting is done in trenches. The material is allowed to decompose for 4 to 6 months. So in the absence of oxygen, the composting process takes place. In aerobic composting, we are giving the turning, that is the soil, it is turned so that the oxygen is received into the soil. But in this case, we are not giving any turning, we are keeping it as such for about 4 to 6 months. The trenches, the procedure. Now we can see the procedure. The trenches or pits about 1 meter deep are dug. Filling the pit, the organic residues and night soil are put in the alternate layers. That is the first layer, the organic residue, the organic waste, that is the food waste coming from the residential buildings, hotels, then the food processing industry, those constitute the organic waste. It is first laid, and then the night soil. Night soil means the excretas. It is put in the alternate layers, and again the organic residue is put, then the night soil is put. In that way the layers are made. So after filling, the pit is covered with a 15 to 20 centimeter thick layer of refuse. Then the next step, it is plastered or covered with the mud or earth. So an earth layer is kept at the top after filling the pit to prevent the loss of moisture and breeding of flies. Once this organic residue it is exposed at the top, what happens? The breeding of flies, mosquitoes, etc. may occur. So it is plastered or covered with a mud or earth. The initial aerobic condition, it takes place for 8 to 10 days, then the anaerobic condition for 6 to 8 months. So only when the first layer is put, an aerobic condition may occur, then it is an anaerobic condition for about 6 to 8 months. So this is the composting process. In this we can see the refuse or the organic content of the waste, it is laid over that a thin layer of night soil, again the organic residue or refuse, then the night soil, organic refuse, night soil, then the refuse, and in the top layer a covering of earth is given. That is, we said the plastering with the mud or earth, it is given at the top. And the whole process, it takes place about 4 to 6 months. So this is a photograph of the Bangalore method. Now what are the advantages? The main advantages is it uses less water and labor. So the labor for the turning process, it is not required in case of the Bangalore method. Turning is not required. Overcome the problem of heat protection from the adverse weather. Overcome the nutrient losses due to the high wind or strong sun rays. The main disadvantages: weeds, seeds and diseases can survive. The process cannot be controlled. The experience of composting is needed. Longer time period, that is 6 to 8 months are required for the complete decomposition of the waste into compost. Now we can see the second important method, that is the Indore method of composting. This Indore method, it was developed by A. Howard and Y.D. Yard in the place called as Indore. So it is called as the Indore method. The composting material, it is filled in pits in the alternative layers. The material is turned at specific intervals. So the difference from the Bangalore method is that turning is given frequently. The first turn is given at 4 to 7 days, then second turn after 5 to 10 days. So the turning means soil na marchidua edakadakku, so that the air is supplied into the particular soil. An important advance in the practice of composting was made at Indore in India by the Howard in the mid-1920s. The traditional procedure was systematized into a method of composting now known as the Indore method. that is in 1980. The Indore method. This method of composting in pits involved filling alternate layers of similar thickness as in Bangalore method. So similar to the Bangalore method, in this method also we are filling the alternate layers. However, to ensure the aerobic condition, the difference between is that in the Bangalore method it is anaerobic condition, whereas in the Indore method it is aerobic condition. The material is turned at specific intervals, for which a 60 centimeter strip on the longitudinal side of the pit is given vacant. Now we can see the procedure. The green materials which are soft and succulent are allowed to wilt for 2 or 3 days in order to remove the excess moisture before stacking. While stacking, each type of material is spread in layers about 15 centimeter thick until the heap is about 1.5 meter high. So up to a height of 1.5 meter we are stacking the materials. That is the organic material. So heap is then cut into vertical slices about 20 to 25 kg and put in the feet of cattle in the shed as bedding for night. The next morning the bedding along with the dung and urine, that is the from there the cow dung, urine, etc., it is taken into the pit where decomposing is to be done. Now we can see the turning. The material is turned 3 times while in the pit during the whole process of composting. The first time 15 days after filling the pit, the second after another 15 days, and third after another 1 month. Each turning, the material is mixed thoroughly and moistened with water. That is, along with the turning process, we are also moistening it with water. It takes about 4 to 5 months to obtain the finished product. The raw materials used in the Indore method: vegetable residues, then the animal dung and urine is essential. In the earlier Bangalore method we said the night soil is laid above the organic material. Here animal dung and urine. Then some amount of earth covering, wood ash, water, stalk, stem, fallen leaf, etc. That is, small stems, leaves, etc. can be used. Then the fodder left over, all are collected and stacked in the pile. The comparison of the two methods. The Bangalore method requires longer time for the stabilization of material and hence need larger load space. The gases generated in anaerobic process also pose smell and odor because methane and carbon dioxide is generated by the anaerobic process and the methane gas pose smell and odor problem. The Indore method on the other hand stabilizes the material in a short time and needs lesser land space. As no odorous gas are generated in the process, it is environment friendly and hence commonly preferred. Now one more type of composting, vermi composting. Now in case of vermi composting, the materials normally used are breeder worms, a wooden bed and organic waste. The bed should be 2.5 feet high, 4 feet wide and any length desired. Apply the worms for every part of the waste. Now sieving and shredding. The decomposition can be accelerated by shredding the raw materials into small pieces. Carbonaceous materials like sodas, paper and straw can be mixed with the nitrogen-rich materials such as sewage sludge, biogas slurry and fish scraps to obtain a near optimum carbon to nitrogen ratio of 30:1 by 40:1. The raw material should be kept in piles and temperature allowed is normally 50 to 55 degrees Celsius. The pile should remain in this temperature for 7 to 10 days. Now after a month the compost is ready. It will be black, granular, lightweight and humus rich. To facilitate separating the worms from the compost, stop watering 2 or 3 days before emptying the beds. This will force about 80% of worms to the bottom of the bed. The rest of the worms can be removed by hand. The vermicompost is then ready for application. The vermicompost is a product of composting utilizing the various species of worms and usually red, wigglers, white worms and earthworms to create a heterogeneous mixture of decomposing vegetable or food waste. The bedding materials and vermicast. Vermicast, also known as worm castings, worm humus or worm manure, is the end product of the breakdown of organic matter by the species of earthworm. So this is the figure of a worm. This is the photograph showing the wormy composting process. So the earthworms shown in this particular figure. So this is the ultimate vermicompost formed after the decomposition process. Now when a compost is finished, when a compost is mature, the color is dark brown, crumbly, loose and humus-like. It also have earthy smell. It contains no readily recognizable feedstock. The pile has shrunk to about 1/3 of its original volume. Now the applications of composting. The final humus-like product is hygienically safe, and the primary application of compost is for agriculture. It serves as a soil conditioner. It supplies nutrients, particularly nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur, all of which occur primarily in the organic form. Compost also provides a number of micronutrients including copper, iron, zinc and nickel. The composts are often circumneutral in pH and hence they moderate the pH extremes of the recipient soil. Compost is also used in landfill operations as a daily cover material for landscaping application and for remediation of the contaminated site and mine land.